Back live tonight on In Focus. Let's go back again to that developing story in the city of Tshwane. Gauteng ActionSA chairperson Bongani Baloyi joins us now for their reaction. Bongani, good evening and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight on In Focus. Spoke to Fred Nell moments ago following, of course, the release of the letter from the multi-party coalition. You're disappointed. Why are you disappointed?
Look, well, firstly, thank you for giving us the platform. Look, we are disappointed as a multi-party and also equally as ActionSA because we had the majority in this coalition specifically, and we expected our councillors to vote in support of the mayoral candidate from the coalition, and it clearly seems that from the coalition bloc, 7 rogue members decided to do the unthinkable and shock us all.
Your words, rogue members, which means you held a majority seats, but you didn't hold a majority loyalty. Why were your members or councillors in the multi-party coalition not loyal?
Look, I cannot speculate. I don't know. But what is clear is the outcomes of their actions, which they voted for a mayoral candidate that was not supported by the coalition. In fact, that mayoral candidate was somebody who was removed from the coalition in the first place. So it leaves that to the imagination of what could be the reasons for somebody or group of councillors to behave in the manner that they behaved in.
Well, I mean, one would say that a simple deduction would be that they were not happy with the mayoral candidate. I mean, otherwise they would have voted for that mayoral candidate.
Look, if you're being too simplistic, you can arrive at that conclusion. But we suspect that it's got something to do potentially with a bit of inducement, financially and otherwise, and promise for something in future, because we know how things operate in this environment. But however, this needs to be subject to an internal conversation within various political parties to try and find who of these councillors behave in that way, and if there's any issues around the candidate that was proposed by the coalition. Yeah,
as far as ActionSA is concerned, there was no unhappiness from any of your members in that caucus to say we are not happy with this candidate.
No, none of that happened. In fact, we're of the impression that we're moving solidly. So we don't know. I mean, there's a good number of coalition partners in this coalition, from Freedom Front, ActionSA, IFP, ACDP, the Democratic Alliance. So we don't know. It could come from any of those parties. So individual parties have committed to embark internally of a conversation and trying to find those members who may have behaved in this way. And we'll just await internal mechanisms from all political parties to bear fruit and come to the fore, then we can engage with that.
Yeah. So you went into a meeting tonight as a multi-party coalition following, of course, what happened in Council. Did you all, including yourself, are you making that commitment today that you are going to be investigating your councillors?
No, absolutely. We need to embark on a process to establish who has betrayed the coalition. And all political parties are given the certainty and the commitment to this process.
You are not a first-timer in this. I mean, you saw it happen in the city of Johannesburg. The same kind of scenario where you went in believing that you're going to be voting in a particular way for the speaker, but you were sorely disappointed when you learned that some members went rogue. So I'm assuming you have built in a way and a system to catch the culprits.
Look, it's not as easy, unfortunately. I mean, human beings are very complex and intricate beings themselves, and they find creative ways to hide their behavior and conduct, so you don't find them, and they must be behind various other things. So unfortunately, it's not that simple. In this case, it was a secret ballot, and there was no assisted voting allowed. Individuals went into a ballot box and they cast their votes without anybody seeing. So it's going to be extremely difficult to venture in such an investigation like that. But we'll endeavor to engage at least our councillors to understand if there's reservations or issues that they may have, or try and find a number of the people. Because some people ultimately speak. I think it's just a matter of time before people start speaking in this case.
Yeah. So, I mean, the sense from the Democratic Alliance is that it's either they will begin to show, for example, if they were promised particular positions by coming out and taking those positions, or most of them, if they were unhappy, particularly within their own parties, they'll come out and express their desire to leave the party and maybe go join either EFF or the ANC. Is that your expectation?
Look, I think it's a bit simplistic to assume that. If it happens, fantastic, but I don't anticipate something like that happening. In this case, I really don't see that happening in that manner. I think the environment is such that people had the perfect cover in this case to proceed and behave in the manner that they did. But in any case, human beings are human beings. They can still show us their true colors in this case, and they still opt to take these positions. And if they do so, we'll be able to react decisively.
But then how do you operate as the coalition knowing that there's an enemy within?
Hey, that's the difficult thing. I've been saying that throughout the whole course of the day that, well, after these elections results, that we really saw Squembushama in this case. Because we cannot really pinpoint who and where, but we know ukuthi khona amongst here, khona odla imbuzi la. Asiboni igazi, asiboni lutho, sixakekile nje ngoba asiboni ukuthi singayikhomba kuphi lento le. So we're really in a precarious situation as a coalition because there's the perfect cover for individuals who want to behave in this manner to do so. But I think people will speak, and once people start speaking, I think things will come to the fore, and we'll be in a position to start dealing with these things. But we need to be extra careful as the coalition when we make decisions such as this, and probably there has to be an extended conversation with councillors to ensure that these positions are sufficiently socialized with caucuses to ensure that there's support and there's buy-in and there's implementation.
Yeah, the feeling from the letter is that you believe that the former speaker is going to be short-lived in that position, shorter than Dada Morero?
Look, I don't think anybody can be shorter than Dada Morero. But in this case, we'll see how long it lasts. We are confident and comfortable that once we've regained our majority and have gone through internal issues, we're able to move and proceed and to regain the seat of Mayor of Tshwane.
Yeah. This, of course, has set off a number of other processes and has somewhat given your opposition confidence, for example, that it's only a matter of time that Ekurhuleni is going to go the same way. And I believe that motion didn't sit today in Mogale City. It will sit next week. But they're saying even if you can delay it a week, it's still going to go that way.
Look, unfortunately, more so in Mogale City and Ekurhuleni, without the active participation of the EFF in such a coalition makeup, you really cannot run government or sustain a government. So if the EFF then decides that they're going to shift their vote for the different bloc, it's their entire decision to do so. So when we ran these minority governments, it was precisely that's why we sounded the alarm as ActionSA to say, this is not sustainable. It's important to create some stability and long-term planning and continuity. And those conditions were not created by the Democratic Alliance in those specific areas. So I think it's likely that in Ekurhuleni, we are going to see a new mayor probably before the end of April. And probably the same thing would happen in Mogale City. It's just inevitable. And one thing it teaches us about coalition is that in this case, whether you're a one-seat party or 70-seat party, once you're in a coalition, anybody can be anything. I mean, we never thought in our wildest dreams that a party with one seat would take the seat of being the executive mayor of the city, of the capital in the Republic of South Africa, which has happened today. And we've really shown that the coalitions really make things possible for those who've got minimal seats. And I really think it's an important appreciation for us as political parties to start to see that we are well within the second transition of the South African politics. And if we don't try and respond in an appropriate mechanism, we'll just remain as bystanders.
In retrospect, do you think COPE was treated fairly by the multi-party coalition? Would you have done the same?
Look, I think we engaged robustly with COPE and there was accountability extracted from COPE. And I think it was totally acceptable under those circumstances. I don't think we'd do anything any different.
Yeah. And going forward, I mean, the conversation is one that, and it's speculative, and I'll accept you when you say it is, you were literally shoved this candidate down your throat, and you were told as ActionSA, you will accept this. This is the mayor and vote for them. It's in a sense that it was even done pretty much the same to the caucus of the Democratic Alliance in Tshwane. And there were people who were unhappy about this particular process and been taking that way, and hence this has exploded in the way that it has in your faces.
Look, it might be the case. I can't confirm conclusively if it is not. So I'll leave room for the understanding that it might be the case. And if it is the case, I really think this process we're embarking on, we should try and resolve that as quickly as possible. And in those engagements and find out. Naturally, when you have to pick somebody from a group of people, obviously not everyone is going to be happy. But we also accept that when there's an outcome as a consequence of a democratic process and competitive process, even those who were part of it and did not come out successful accept the outcome and they buy in and endorse and support whoever is nominated as a candidate, which is a normal process. I mean, we've been in numerous, myself personally, a number of election campaigns where I lost, I accepted, and I moved on quickly, and I licked my wounds in the shower alone. And I didn't go and create mess, and we expect people to behave that way. That's a mature way of handling disappointments. So we'll still impress on our caucuses that once a decision is taken up for consultation, that decision must be implemented. And we can't have people behaving as if there are rogue elements within a coalition.
Bongani Baloyi, as always, much appreciated. Thank you very much for coming on ActionSA Chairperson.
Thank you.
In Gauteng. All right.